I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm fresh off a plane and I'm here again.
Yeah, welcome back.
How are you?
I'm feeling delirious. It's late.
Late.
So, well,
Sure.
it's
late.
my truth.
It's
but
your
anyway,
truth. It is late for you.
You're back from Cannes, so I'm assuming you'll want to make a best and worst video.
Yes, that's right.
So I guess we'll do that when the time comes.
The winners were just announced, by the way, as I was flying in.
Oh, can't wait. I am happy to report Ving Rhames is safe and sound.
Oh, good.
For our podcast last week, that was a pre-recorded one that we had recorded a day after it was reported that Ving Rhames had collapsed at a restaurant. So out of good hopes and wishes, we selected a Ving Rhames movie. But then we received a couple of comments and it didn't even occur to me, why didn't we choose Holiday Heart? It didn't even come up in my thought process of Ving Rhames movies, which is weird.
Well, because we've seen that so many times also, right?
Yes. But we also had it on a poll for a live video a while ago.
And it didn't win?
And it didn't win.
Well, so
obviously.
So the children didn't even want it anyway.
Will I review Holiday Heart someday? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
This episode might be a little all over the place. Moving to the restaurant section, I wanted to call out that a couple of months ago, I talked about this Thai restaurant in Hollywood.
Yes.
Off of Sunset, and how the food looked gross and the restaurant looked dirty. And then I received a few comments basically saying that that restaurant's great and they didn't feel that way when they had visited.
Oh, okay. Well,
but
that's my truth, your truth.
A couple of weeks ago, LA County Health Department shut down this restaurant. It's called Jitlada, and it's a Michelin guide honored restaurant that apparently was very popular with celebrities, which is how it was pitched to me when I was asked to go.
Y'all know celebrities aren't the smartest people, right?
Well, and I was expecting something a little more fine dining. This place is kind of a hole in the wall. And the friend who took me, of course, that was the appeal of it. I just thought it was gross. The county health department shut it down for vermin infestation.
Oh.
But they were able to quickly resolve that issue and reopen. So Jitlada is currently open.
You can get a lot of Jitlada. I mean, the same. It happens to all the great institutions here. Remember when Cantor's was a C for a minute?
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, what's happening?"
I did try new restaurants, and I can't remember any of them.
Oh,
I tried, and unless I go look back at a credit card statement, I don't know. But so this is not a complete list, and since we haven't been live in a few weeks, I wanted to mention that I went to this restaurant in Pasadena with my mom called Popping Yolk.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been there before.
Sounds like a rite of passage.
And it's not necessarily this restaurant's issue, but ube. I like ube.
I love ube.
But I feel like some people are just putting it in anything.
Well, yeah.
Like it really doesn't. And this place had ube pancakes, and I thought they just dyed these things purple because they just taste. It's like you're charging me an extra $1.50 because it says ube, but I don't know if this is the best use of that.
Is there ube syrup?
Oh, I'm sure there's some ube flavored syrup.
Ooh, I'd be 300 pounds.
And then Trader Joe's has their little ube section now and then. Like those one soft cookies were really good.
Oh, yes. I tear those up.
But I feel like ube is becoming a flavor that is not very distinct to me.
It's more of a color than a flavor?
It's more of a color than a flavor.
Like orange?
Or red.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, not everything works, but ube, it does have a flavor, much like taro. But yeah, just making it purple doesn't do anything.
That was just a random thought connected to these mid pancakes I had. Also, I went to a thing and there was a row of food trucks, and it was very popular. Like lots of people waiting. Mm-hmm. And as I walked by. One of the food trucks, the man had like the grill. It was attached to the truck, but was outside of the truck. So this man is standing grilling this food on this food truck in this row of food trucks that is very popular. And that man was smoking a cigarette while he was grilling, and he was putting out the ashes in the grill.
Oh no.
And I thought that has to be part of the lore of this food truck is
Mm.
that you get a little extra seasoning, but I thought I'd call that out. Did you, I'm delirious. Did you try anything new in Cannes, food wise?
Food wise, oh god. Well, there wasn't too many opportunities for me to eat, but I had pizza twice with some colleagues at a place I like called La Piazza, which I also like that they're fast and friendly enough. And then twice I ate at the other pizza place that's near adjacent, La Pizza Cresci, which I think Tarantino made famous years ago, so people kind of flock there a bit. But they have kind of a more decadent, greasy pizza, so it's I always feel a little bit gross after eating it. And I always say I'm going to save some, and I basically had one full meal a day. So when I sat down to eat, I couldn't help myself. And then I'm forgetting the name of it. I you know, I'm also slightly delirious, but I did try a Vietnamese restaurant at the top of the Suke, which also was quite lovely. I mean, it's all about the ambiance, sitting outside, hopefully not directly in the sun, and it's not too busy. Yeah.
You have some projects of interest. Lineage.
Oh, so there's a new Isabelle Huppert project that was announced during Cannes, and she's going to work with Yann Demange, who directed White Boy Rick and this really great Jack O'Connell film called 71, which I think was his breakout. And Adam Bessa, who just starred opposite Isabel in the new Farhadi, which I did not like, and we can talk about that on the rundown that we record, is also in it. But I guess it's a thriller. It's going to be shoot in London in August, so that's exciting.
The German Cousin.
Catherine Breillat is going to work again. I think she's reuniting with producer Saeed Ben Said, who produced her last film last summer, which is I think fantastic and subversive and dark. She is going to adapt a Georges Simenon novel, and I love Simenon. So that is all of those are very exciting things. I mean, she's got to be in her late 70s. So I keep thinking that she's going to retire. She had all those significant health issues because she had that stroke, but I'm very excited that they announced a new project with her.
Distances.
Same with Ulrich Seidel, who I got to interview many a moon ago for his Paradise trilogy. And I caught up with Sparta recently, but he's got a new project called Distances. And usually he takes years and years and years, but it sounds like he's kind of gearing up to do this rather soon. So what year is it? Maybe by 2028, we'll see this.
Josephine Baker.
We're getting a Josephine Baker biopic from Memuna Dukure, who I don't know. I don't think you saw Cuties. And I don't know. I think she's a pretty good director. There was a lot of controversy over that movie that's not even worth getting into because that's all bullshit. But it's very exciting to see that we're going to get a Josephine Baker biopic. I guess, outside of a television movie.
The Passenger.
Magnus Van Horn, who directed The Girl with the Needle, which we both really liked. Do you remember that film? Mm-hmm. He's commencing work on his latest project that is going to star Jeremy Strong, and I think everything else is secretive about it. I don't believe it's any relation to the Antonioni film.
Lastly, Lily May B.
Leos Carax, who I also absolutely love, is working on a new project that's, Jenna Ortega. I guess I don't understand the immediate reverence for her all over, but Jenna Ortega is going to star in Leos Carax's new film. But yeah, I'll watch anything he does.
We have a bunch of Patreons to catch up with, but since the last time we were live, we did drop a couple of reviews on Patreon, My Cousin Vinny and Kung Fu Hustle, so people can check those out.
Mm-hmm.
There are many entries in the obituary section. I'm sure I'm missing some since the last time we were live, but here's the little list I compiled. Rex Reed, noted film critic and media personality, died recently. He was 87 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I know him for your negative reaction to him, so I'm assuming people didn't like him. And I know him from a movie called Myra Breckenridge.
I mean, he's a queer trailblazer that I think outstayed his welcome and maybe thought he was better than he was. But he did rub me the wrong way a lot, yeah.
Donald Gibb an actor who I recognize as Ogre from the Revenge of the Nerds films.
Oh.
He died at the age of 71.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Collins died. I know he's a professional basketball player, and I believe the first active NBA player to come out as gay. He died at the age of 47.
Damn.
Yeah. For all those 30 Rock fans, Grizz Chapman died. He was his character's name was Grizz, and he was part of Tracy Morgan's entourage.
Mm-hmm.
He was only 52.
Damn.
Rob Bass, the rapper, died at the age of 59.
Oh, I did see that headline.
Yeah. Rob Bass, along with DJ Easy Rock, have that very popular song, It Takes Two.
Mm-hmm. God, what are all these people dying from so early?
Yeah. Rob Bass died from cancer. And I guess I forgot that DJ Easy Rock died like well over a decade ago at the age of 46, I believe, from diabetes.
Oh.
So double whammy. Lastly, on my list, I have Mark Fuhrman, that LAPD detective who's part of the O.J. Simpson
that
trial,
racist ass cop.
Who people, there were recordings of him using the N-word and saying racist things while interrogating people. He died.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I thought was, for all these nasty people who claim they believe in heaven, I always think, I hope you don't really believe in heaven because you're surely going to hell. And I guess Mark Fuhrman will see OJ down there. I don't know.
The only heaven I believe in is the one that's sung about by Bryan Adams.
That brings us to our secret film this week, which was Nick's choice. Nick chose the 1983 film A Night in Heaven, directed by a John G. Avildsen.
The director of Rocky and The Karate Kid.
Why did you choose this movie?
This has been on my radar for a while. Several years ago, I think we listened to a recording of How Did This Get Made?
About this movie? Oh, I don't recall.
And then I have a friend who kind of likes old cinema as much as I do, especially like schlock cinema. His name's Chris. And he went to his first Cannes this year. And we were as we are wont to do when we get together, talk about all the ridiculous shit that we laugh about. And he had referenced Night in Heaven. I'm like, God, I've never seen that. And so this was kind of at the top of my mind when I had to select something. And here we are.
What is A Night in Heaven about? A married college professor begins a torrid affair with her failing student who secretly moonlights as a late night strip club dancer.
I don't know how torrid this is.
Oh, I was not ready for this movie. There are a couple of shocking things about this movie related to the soundtrack.
Yes.
The casting is so strange to me. We'll get into it.
It is. It's only 83 minutes. It is so heavily edited. I don't know what is happening.
It's a very odd story. These are the kind of 80s movies I really like. Trashy, like.
Well, I think it has a terrible reputation. And I remember when we did listen to How Did This Get Made, and deservedly so, gets kind of torn apart for a lot of things. But I also felt really melancholic after this. It did touch a few nerves and made me, I was left feeling kind of sad.
Well, you kind of reminded me of one of the characters, but
maybe that's
so yeah, it's certainly depressing in that regard.
Uh-huh.
So this married couple, Faye and Whitney. Faye is played by Lesley Ann Warren,
mm-hmm.
and Whitney is played by Robert Logan. I know I recognize Lesley Ann Warren.
She's fresh off an Oscar nod for Victor Victoria. You've seen her in Clue, I'd imagine.
She reminds me of Shelley Long.
I can definitely see that. She also a little Susan Sarandon with those big eyes. And Mr. Logan was in a series called 77 Sunset Strip for a couple of years in the 60s. But he's a very striking screen presence.
I suppose the vibe and the tonal shifts of this film are so jarring. And I think it's because the casting of the husband and wife, it feels like they're in two different movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Whitney is a NASA scientist.
Yes.
We see him doing scientist things,
mm-hmm.
which is the opening of the film. And it was so strange.
Yes, because this movie's 83 minutes. We get 3 minutes of a credit sequence where we're watching him ride his recumbent bike home.
It's giving Pee Wee Herman, but the first big shocker of this movie to me was the soundtrack.
Yes. Why is Bryan Adams blaring over this?
Well, the song generated 2 hits
Yes.
that were written for the film. But then other soundtrack selections are quite notable in this movie. But the first song that was written for this film is the Bryan Adams hit Heaven.
Which, when I was in college, I was listening to that DJ Sammy cover all the time.
And that 3-minute bike ride scene is the duration of the song Heaven.
Yeah. And then the title, the font of the title, A Night in Heaven, was very odd. I don't know if it was trying to look like Charlotte's Web, Spiderweb in the Sky. I don't know what that was giving.
Faye is a college professor who I don't think it's made clear at all what she teaches. We get a hint of it in the end, which I'll mention. But when we meet her teaching, she's administering a final that amounts to these adults of various ages giving some sort of book report. The only one we see is Rick, played by Christopher Atkins.
Yes.
Who it took me until after the film was over to realize how I recognized him. He's the kid from The Blue Lagoon.
That's right.
Which I don't think either of us have seen.
No, I haven't. I mean, I've always been curious about it. Or its sequel with Mila Jovovich.
He's in Faye's class, gives his little book report, and she tells him, "You say what you say well, but you have nothing to say," and flunks him. And he acts like him failing this class is the worst thing that could happen.
Well, he does live in a trailer park, so it seems like things are on the verge of desperation for Rick.
Okay, we're going to get to it in a second, but I need you to put a pin in what you think Rick's intentions really were.
Okay.
Okay. The movie also has this narrative device of splitting the story like into chunks. So we'll get a scene with Faye, one with Whitney, where they're doing things in parallel that have opposite tone. There are a couple of examples I'll get to, but
yes, where I think he is retreating inside himself, and she's being led to explore her life outside of the marriage.
I admire what the story's trying to do. We'll get to it.
Oh, so Joan Tewksbury was the writer who wrote Altman's Nashville. She was also a director. She's an her directorial debut is called Old Boyfriends with Talia Shire, which the script of that was written by, I think, Paul Schrader's brother, or maybe both the Schraders. But I think she's a fantastic writer, and I think that you can catch glimpses of her talents in some scenes. But anyway, I love Ms. Tewksbury despite the failure of this film.
I did know who the writer was because when the movie ended, I thought, oh, a man must have wrote this. So I looked up who wrote it, and it's her. And I'll get to why I feel like the writing's a little strange, but there are definitely glimpses of major themes that deserve a little more complexity than what ended up being edited. But
yeah, and I think it gets lost in the sleaze of it all, a little bit like Showgirls, maybe.
So we get this montage of sorts where we see Faye getting ready with her sister, who's played by
the lovely Deborah Rush,
who we know as the mom from Strangers with Candy.
Yeah, I just saw her. She's in the opening film of this Burt Reynolds film as well called Heat.
She plays Patsy. So Patsy and Faye are getting ready, and I was so confused because they basically look like they're going to prom.
Yeah, I didn't understand the dresses there.
No. So I'm thinking, oh, are they chaperoning this college prom or something? But then we see that no, the two of them plus another homegirl go to a strip club. And guess who's a stripper there? Rick.
Yep.
That strip club.
Oh my God. Whoever is the MC is disturbing. It disturbed me.
Yeah, there was a moment, I think I wrote it down, where he's going off about buns. Oh, he was gross and very unappealing.
He was like a nightmare clown. And then you hear like bits in the sidelines of the dumb shit people saying at the strip club, like, it's never, hey, ladies, you're late. It's never too late to come. Like, okay.
Yeah. But Rick works there, spies Faye, and makes a move on her.
Mm-hmm.
And thus begins the story. Faye and her student start having, like you said, a very non-torrid affair.
It's awkward.
And ends, you know what the end was giving me? What's that movie? I think we reviewed the original and the remake starring Robert De Niro. But it's
Cape Fear.
Yes. The ending of this movie was kind of giving me Cape Fear mixed with Tyler Perry's Duplicity.
Oh my God, because there's a boat. Uh-huh.
Yes. So the ending is kind of shocking, but humane in a way. It's strange, and we'll get to it. But just since I'm so off track, I want to just go through my notes really quickly. When we first meet Rick, it's not in the classroom. We see him leaving his trailer park, and we're introduced to his mother.
Played by the great Carrie Snodgrass, also an Oscar nominee. I don't know if you remember her from Wild Things, where she's Nev Campbell's guardian, or she's in a great, she's in a fun Charles Bronson movie I like called Murphy's Law. She also is pretty good opposite Clint Eastwood in Pale Rider. I think she's consistently a pretty fine actress. She doesn't have much to do in this, but she's giving as a waitress.
What's the movie with, oh gosh, it's about a woman who's portrayed by a very popular older actress who's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves her husband with her like 14-year-old son, and they go on this road trip.
Are you talking about Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore?
Yes.
Scorsese. Ellen Burstyn.
Ellen Burstyn is who I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, because she
the relationship between Rick and his mom felt kind of like that.
Well, some boundaries are blurred. There's a one point where he grabs her ass and says, "You have a great ass, Ma."
Yeah.
Oh.
And she kind of gets the sense that he's probably doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, right.
To get money. And she tries to set him straight, but the minute he hands her a wad of cash, she seems to tighten up.
He's such a good boy.
But we see Rick at his mom's trailer house where he lives, getting ready.
She's also asking about when his grades are going to be available.
Or does she even say report card? No, she says grades.
Are your grades out this week? She said that last week.
I'm in college, Mom.
What?
Jeez.
Jesus Christ.
But as he's leaving his trailer park, there's a girl there with him.
Is her name Slick? I don't think I realized that watching it. So it's Rick and Slick.
Rick and Slick.
Played by Sandra Bial.
And they seem to have a thing. Also, for those who are not familiar, Christopher Atkins is a very handsome young man.
He was giving me Mark Hamill vibes.
Okay, I wrote that down, that he's like the sexy twunk version of Mark Hamill.
Oh, okay.
He's portrayed as being very popular with the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
He's at his mom's trailer park where he lives. This one little girl is there. And then we see everyone leaving in the morning down the driveway of this mobile home, when we see this young lady standing in front of a white Corvette.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone can see her and they're waving at her, including Rick, who comes out of the house shirtless.
Uh-huh.
This man walks within 10 paces of her and then shouts, "You got the vet." That took me out.
He might be nearsighted.
If that's the case, he has serious vision problems.
It was the 80s. Not everybody had access to contacts. They didn't want to wear glasses.
I had to pause the movie. I watched this by myself. I had to pause it. Oh, how did you watch this movie?
I found a streaming online. How did you watch it?
On YouTube.
Oh, yeah. There's this other site I like that has movies like this.
So people can check it out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when he screamed, "You got the vet," I had to pause the thing because this young man has terrible vision.
But I'm still unclear of who Slick is really. Like,
okay. So then
he's like the boy from the wrong side of the tracks. Then it also reminded me of that Mark Hamill, Annie Potts movie, Corvette Summer, with this moment. I
like that the character of Rick is described as a jock and a popular guy at a community college in Titusville, Florida. And that made me think of someone saying that's like being the smartest Kardashian.
Does he seem like a jock? I don't know.
No,
we don't see him do jock stuff. Is stripping a jock work?
Jock work.
Is that
could be the name of a bar?
Jock work. Also, I love that he is the conduit for his other friends that need work. Because there's another kid. Is his name Tony? This guy who's
he's like
lost his job. He's like, come dance with us.
Rick is like Angel from Beauty and Black.
Oh, yeah. But also, and we
recruiting these sex workers, trafficking these men.
We get to see Tony do his dance wearing orange fringe, by the way, and he just seems to know all the moves. Like, is there training for this job? Like, do these men just know how to dance like this? I don't know.
We need to get back to the strip club.
The dancing on the women was so disturbing.
But that feels accurate.
Ugh, God.
Not only in what you see in other films, but I've been to strip clubs like that a number of times, and it feels pretty accurate.
It feels so thirsty. Oh, my God.
So we know Rick's main conflict is he's concerned that he won't pass this one college class. Ultimately, we learn that he needs to pass this class so he can get into the hotel management program. I'm going to get to some other ones, but the details in this movie are so interesting, like what they choose to highlight. Like he has to study hotel management to make sure his mom is taken care of.
Hey, dreams do come true. I don't know.
So that's Rick's issue. Faye, Lesley Ann Warren, she's painted as a woman in a loveless marriage, I think.
He's just oblivious to her. Yeah.
And Whitney, why is he oblivious? I got the sense that he's certainly the most complex character.
I think that there's a statement being made about the time period, Reagan's in office, because his skill set working for NASA is no longer necessary. And I think they're trying to imply that the only thing his knowledge can be used for is for
weapons of mass destruction. Well, there's a moment when he gets mad and screams at his colleague, which ultimately ends up getting him fired.
Yeah.
He says, rockets don't go up to the moon anymore. They go sideways.
Yes.
So he's saying he doesn't want to make those kind of rockets.
He wants to make love, not war.
And then gets canned.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the thing is because this happens to him, he's kind of given up hope and he's retreated inside himself. That is the sense of this man that I got.
So the three main characters, these are their conflicts, which is setting up this idea that each one is behaving in a way that's, if you like excuses, then those are the excuses for why they're doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
After the strip club scene where we see Rick make a move on Faye, which includes kissing her, and she seems taken.
Yes.
But then he starts dancing with other ladies and she seems funky. I also have to say, did you notice when Patsy and Faye are getting ready in their prom dresses to go to the strip club? Did you notice that shrimp cocktail they had on the table?
God.
I wrote down that was a doo-doo clown mess because it looked like 3 pieces of like that frozen shrimp on top of a bed of lettuce.
You can't let that sit out too long.
Ketchup.
Well,
it didn't look like cocktail sauce to me.
I doubt it was ketchup.
But that's how raggedy that little spread looks.
I know it's Florida, but there's not ketchup.
And they're getting ready in prom dresses. I was so confused. Like what young woman would eat seafood before she goes to the prom?
I don't know. Well, when you can live and do things you can't normally do at home, I guess. But also, Lesley Ann Warren is only 35 here. They make her so dowdy.
They do. After the strip club scene, we moved to an aerobics class. That was reminding me. Do you remember in the movie Norbit how Marlon Wayans plays that like Rick James looking?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that aerobics scene.
You know what? That reminds me of never seen the movie Perfect with John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
Where you've seen those clips.
Yes. Oh, but you had mentioned the crazy things people are saying in the strip club. We hear when Faye and her sister and their little group sit down and the bartender comes over. They start, but the way it like the sound editing is, it's like it's coming from the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I need a pina colada. I need a pitcher of margaritas. Oh, bring me a white wine. These ladies are turned up. The minute they get into the strip club, it's like drinks, legs in the air, and then one's like, give me a cigarette. Trash. They're all trash.
Well, it's just like, God damn, what's all your homes are bad? Like,
okay, the tonal shifts because we get 2 main moments where it's really jarring. The first time is while these bitches are at the strip club turning up. We see Whitney having this sort of existential crisis about what his work means to him. And the score, wasn't it jarring how we were going back and forth?
It's jarring. Well, Whitney is playing with a model of a rocket that's supposed to be almost like it's an extension of him, like a phallic extension of him. And then we get to see Christopher Atkins literally stripping, and his strip name is Ricky the Rocket.
Yeah, he comes out in a spaceman costume.
That was too elaborate for this seedy little.
That was another example of the kind of details they're giving us.
Like this young man has the spacesuit. No, I don't believe that for a minute. Mm-mm.
So this is the moment, because the middle part of the film is Rick pursuing Faye and them ultimately connecting.
Did you like when he basically is thrusting his crotch in her face, and we get a shot of Christopher Atkins from her perspective, and you see the lights orbiting him almost like the rings of a planet.
Uh-huh. Her demeanor towards him when we first see him in her classroom and he's giving his little book report, did you think she was ogling him?
Yes, I think that, well, it's his behavior that's how he skirts by, is like, winking and pouting.
Which is what she says.
Yes, but I think she is taken with him, and that bothers her. And I think that's why she seems so harsh about failing him.
Okay.
I don't think she knows how to reconcile her feelings, whereas, there's this lack in the marriage, and then she has these feelings that she can't even vocalize. So instead she just lashes out, because the day her husband gets fired, she's trying to correspond with him in the bed, and he he ignores her, and she starts crying. And it's only her that was one of the moments that I was like, God, this movie makes me feel bad, because she's crying, and then he's like, oh, I was fired. It's like, man, you can tell your wife that. God damn, you people are bad at communicating.
That was the moment when I had to look up, was this written by a man? Because I felt like the story is giving Whitney, the husband, more context as to why he might be feeling the way he feels towards his life, his career, but also his wife. Whereas Faye, the wife, I feel like she's just painted as like, oh, this woman didn't get her physical needs met, or like the stereotypical, like she's an emotional creature and she didn't get her fill. She immediately runs into the arms of another man.
See, I don't think she immediately does it. I think she's resistant. And who knows what was edited out, but I do get the sense that she is resisting her feelings.
Okay, well then I guess part of why this doesn't fully work for me is the connection between Rick and Faye is so curious to me. Up until the very end, credits were rolling, I still don't know if I think he really liked her, or was this all a ruse to try to get his grade up?
I think it was too late. The grade was already done. The class is done, because he said he's doing a semester with some other teacher.
Oh, so I missed that.
So
that means that he was genuinely pursuing her.
I think he's just a young man with a lot of energy.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because up until the end, I was so curious, like, because we never find out if she gave him his grade, but that's because it was not necessary. Okay, the way Rick is painted in the beginning is confusing to me, because he seems like a womanizer.
I think he does too.
But then as he engages with Faye, he seems more like emotionally mature and loving than that. So I was kind of confused, like, what are we supposed to think about him?
Well, I don't know. The relationship with his own mother, you could toss in there as like, maybe there's some interesting an interesting way to psychologize him, and I think maybe he liked her reluctance, whereas all these other women are, throwing themselves at him. Or with Slick, who he clearly also has a sexual relationship with, there's this kind of negative undertone to it. Like she's taunting, like Slick is also taunting him, almost daring him. So I think there's something innocent about Faye, as in that her feelings are emotional but authentic. which all these other women I think are just trying to use him to get off. So to me, that would be appealing to somebody like him who may not get to experience that too often where he is.
Ultimately, they consummate the relationship, but the story climaxes with Faye's sister, Patsy, is in town.
From Chicago,
staying in a hotel, and they go out to have a fun night. I believe they go see a movie.
They're supposed to see a movie. Faye is waiting outside, conveniently wherever that is also by the strip club. And
so of course Rick drives by and sees her, like, what are you doing out here?
And then some other lady basically is like, come on inside, maybe Patsy's waiting in there. And it turns out they tell Faye eventually in the strip club that Patsy is sick, so Patsy's in the hotel room, but Patsy's not sick. Patsy's with another man.
Yeah, she's having an affair. Okay.
But she couldn't tell her sister that you were just going to let Faye wait outside forever? Because Faye doesn't seem like she makes choices on her own. That's what's also frustrating about her. She was just going to wait outside and not, just become part of the environment. And I don't know.
So they end up at the hotel where Patsy's staying, which also happens to be the hotel that houses the restaurant Rick's mom works in. So Faye and Rick connect. Patsy ends up cutting her trip short because she gets a call from her husband talking about he can't take this sick kid anymore. So of course Patsy offers her hotel room to her sister. And of course Rick is there. So as you can guess, they sleep together. Okay, I was very confused by this. Whitney becomes suspicious of Faye to the point where he seems to go full psycho.
Yeah, there's some jumps made.
All of a sudden we see him target practicing.
Yeah.
And then he's literally acting like a serial killer, ruminating about what his wife could be doing. He knows she is with her sister at a hotel, but is also convinced that she's having an affair with Rick after seeing him and seeing how young and handsome he is, and that he's a student of hers, and that he's a stripper. I guess Whitney is convinced that they're having an affair.
Which speaks to maybe some problems that he has, this character.
Oh, yeah. Whitney inadvertently finds out that Patsy went home early, so he's like, well, wait a minute, then why is my wife still staying out there and didn't tell me this? So he drives down there, and he keeps calling her hotel room, and she's not picking up.
So it's just so jumbled and complicated in this scene. But so of course, Rick and Faye have sex, and then she catches him in the shower with Slick in the same hotel room.
Okay, but I was confused. Did something happen that Rick thought, oh, the room is mine for now?
I don't think it's like he can't help himself. I didn't understand.
That was crazy.
So then, and Faye had been trying to call her husband. He calls that room, and she has just discovered her new young lover in the shower with somebody else, and she accidentally knocks the phone over, and it's Whitney. And so she's trying to hide the fact that she's crying to Whitney while the other girl gets dressed, and Rick is like, I'll leave the key on the front counter.
And this call is being made while the husband is downstairs in the lobby.
And he can see
the security cameras. And I'm not sure where he stated that the security cameras are just available to everyone, but he sees Rick leaving the hotel.
Yeah.
So he puts two and two together, and Whitney snatches up Rick at gunpoint.
He's like, I want to see you dance, which felt like a line from a Madonna song.
And this is where it turns into Cape Fear duplicity, because Whitney takes Rick to a body of water, forces him to get naked. We don't see any of that. We literally cut from Rick being taken by gunpoint from a hotel lobby to standing fully naked on a raft in a body of water in the middle of the night. That was so jarring to me.
Yeah, and then just leaves him there. And I think Whitney has some line about how I'm not crazy, as in I'm not going to kill you. Like, okay.
Oh, no, he goes, hey, kid, I'm just pissed off, not crazy.
Oh, yeah, like, who said you could? My wife.
And then, okay, this is one of my final thoughts, but after he says, I'm just pissed off, not crazy, meaning that because as the audience, we think Whitney's going to shoot and kill Rick.
Which I would have been fine with, to tell you the truth.
But instead, he just shoots holes in the raft so that it sinks, and he leaves them out in the middle of the ocean or wherever. I mean, it's probably a lake.
So he could still die.
So it's, well, and then Whitney had another boat waiting, so he just took off in that. But Rick yells, "Hey, what about my clothes?" And Whitney goes, "I hear you're better without them." But this,
Also a Madonna passage right there.
this entire story made me think when Nene told, I believe, Kim Zolciak, "Close your legs to married men." All of this drama. This young man is very attractive, and he already has a number of hoes. Why are you chasing your college? I mean, I know it's probably because of the, there's some, what's the word? Like it's kind of taboo.
It's taboo. I mean, I think that, yes, we usually do things that we know we're probably intrinsically probably not supposed to do. Yeah.
But none of that made sense to me.
No, because I don't know. It just feels like a butchered film in a lot of ways. And because that makes it seem more silly than it is. I think it would have been a failure even if we had some comprehensive characterizations going on, because it just feels, it feels like it's leaning into titillation rather than it is kind of what the essence of it really is. I think about two unhappily married women.
Yeah. Yeah. There are two scenes in this film that reminded me of the scene in the film The Room, the Tommy Wiseau film, where he goes to his florist. And it's like this 30-second rush of dialogue that is insane. Like, "You're my favorite customer. Hi, bye, doggy." Blah. Like, there are two scenes like that in this film. The first one is Whitney in the beginning of the film when he's leaving NASA to go hop on his bike. He bumps into this janitor. Do you recall that scene?
Yeah.
Their interaction just felt like, why did we need this?
I don't know.
Because that was right after we saw that erotic 900 number ad on the TV inside of NASA. Another scene that felt like that is Whitney has been fired, and we see him go on another prospective interview or like some job lead. And he finds out that a 14-year-old took his job
or something. I think that was an exaggeration.
And it's this kid wearing a suit, like directing everything.
Right.
That felt like The Room to me.
And now it's AI.
I want to go back to the sex scene because Faye's orgasm was very interesting to me. That poor lady.
Oh.
At the hotel, Patsy, after getting the call from her husband saying, "You have to come home because I can't take care of this sick kid," Patsy's crying to her sister and they're talking about things. And Patsy tells Faye, "I'm not like you. I don't read books. I'm not a school teacher. And I lost track of who I am."
I was really touched by that scene.
Yes, but it's so interesting the way Patsy is portrayed.
Deborah Rush as Patsy's about to get on the plane back home, and then she stops going through security and basically has this mini meltdown with her sister Faye. And that was one of the lines that I was struck by. She lost track of herself, but and then Faye responds to her about because Patsy is unsure why her husband married her, unsure if he loves her, and Faye's trying to console her and say, he would have left a long time ago if he doesn't love you, and maybe you need to stop running away to be who you are.
Yeah, that's the point she makes, that she's two different people.
Well, or that she needs to communicate, you bought that new dress you said that you wouldn't wear in front of your husband. Why don't you just try it? Why don't you just communicate with him? Because I think to me that there were some truths about, what it's like to be in a relationship, and assumptions make certain walls become solidified, which aren't necessarily truths,
Well, I'll get back to that, but I really want to talk about the kind of teacher Faye is.
A petty one.
Because in the opening, I was so confused. What kind of class is this? The speech Rick gives,
He's talking about some dead, exhumed composer in Florida.
That's right, because one of the students says, "Hey, I have a question."
This black man that looks like
he's twice Rick's age.
Yeah, but okay, we're all on a journey.
They make a joke about how did they know this body was a composer, and Rick responds, because it was decomposed.
He was decomposing. That
And
bad joke.
Faye, the teacher, that sets her off. She is like, you are so unserious. But it's not until the close to the end when Patsy's crying to Faye that she mentions that it's a speech class.
Uh-huh.
So Faye teaches speech. The class Rick
When I took it, it was
failed.
called public address.
It's called speech. I was so confused when we learned that it's speech because I think her argument about him saying things well but having nothing to say seems so contradictory to what the class is. Isn't
Right.
that what speech is about? How to communicate clearly? It's not a debate class. Like, it's not, you don't have to make all these excellent points. It's about how to communicate effectively.
What's it's only about? What's that saying? It's only about 10% of what you say. That's really how you say it that people become invested.
I was just expecting, it would have made more sense to me if this, I don't know, like, not that speech isn't important, but he made it sound like if I don't pass the bar, my family's going to die or something.
Well, it's so inconsequential because he's like, oh, I'm just taking another semester with Mr. Doot. Like, okay, well, there you go.
There's another plot point at the end that I felt was another odd example of the kind of attention to detail the film's showing, because earlier we had seen Faye bump into Rick at the hotel and she seems unnerved and flustered. And Faye's asking, why are you here? And Rick says, oh, my mom works in the restaurant in this hotel. And she literally says, oh, I can't even process that right now. Like, I'm so overwhelmed. And then in the end, after they have sex and they go downstairs to the diner, that's when Faye inadvertently bumps into Rick's mom. And of course, she's mortified because the mom's looking at her like, but you already mentioned it. It's like, I feel like this role might have been better played by an older woman, maybe.
Which role?
Faye.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because she's not... Lesley's kind of young.
Well, because the way Rick's mom is eyeballing her is like, you brought this bitch over here who's my age. But
right.
She seems much closer to his age. But as they're leaving, Faye gets upset with Rick saying, how could you not tell me your mom worked here? And he's like, well, I did. That was a long roundabout way to say that I think I think you're right. This must have been cut up in a really odd way because there is a lot of attention to detail. I do think it is trying to say some really interesting things.
It is. It just gets bungled and wrapped up in all this other bullshit that detracts from what could be worthwhile. But, you know, it's also playing with a lot of tropes, especially in, you know, the age of excess that we're plopped into the middle of here. You know, when we were talking before recording, you brought up that, and I thought of this character too, that student in Summer School, the Mark Harmon, Kirstie Alley film.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was always tired because he had to work all night. And that's always a trope. Varsity Blues, I know those are high school students, but the teachers, one of their teachers is a stripper. That was ridiculous. It also made me think of this really bad movie called Lambada.
Oh, yes.
I
remember that.
From the director of Break-In, where I think it's the teacher. He's like at Beverly Hills High School at night. He lights up the dance floor. I did like the use of Anna Motion's Obsession.
Oh, duh. The second big song from this movie is Obsession, which was later covered by Anna Motion. But But the originals who made the song made it for this movie.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
And then we also have, I know I heard Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Yes, yeah.
I heard another really big song in this movie. They spent money.
Well, you have to. This is Avildsen after Rocky. He had another movie in there that was called Neighbors with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. I want to say that's the movie set Belushi relapsed on drugs and then overdose. I want to think it's. Anyway, I don't. That was not a hit though, and this was certainly not a hit. So he's kind of lucky that Karate Kid came after.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Karate Kid and Rocky, those are iconic movies, and like this is terrible.
Quickly, some of the themes like communication, relationships, female desire. Although I don't know how well it's presented.
I think it's at least articulated that is a lack.
But this movie, I do think, is of note because of the soundtrack. I'm assuming seeing male strippers in film was not that popular before this movie was made. And it was kind of giving me Magic Mike vibes. So
Yeah, those films, the Magic Mike films, it seems like the dancers are actually in control. This looked like trauma having to experience these women. Because there's the one he's dressed like in like a caveman kind of thing, and he's got that long hair, and it's that woman in that lavender dress. Oh my god, I was getting goosebumps. Like this just seems stressful to me. I don't know.
I didn't even think about what I would give this film. What do you think?
A 2. I'm going to give it a 2. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I think it's, like I've already said in this recording, I think it's a big fail. But at the same time, I do see glimpses of something trying to be said. I think there were times when surprised to myself, feeling emotional for the women, and I think that there is a perspective there if you dig.
I think I would give it 2.5 out of 5.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, I hope this is usable material because I don't feel like I'm in my right mind right now. But I hope you're glad to be back.
yeah. I know you're glad I am too.
Oh, well, then that's all that matters.
It's part of it. We had some catching up to do and fun things on the horizon.
All done?
Yes.
Ta-ta.